Catherine's not? Okay, that's fine. Good to know.
Good morning and welcome to the Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. The time is now 9 a.m. What do we got here today? We got all 5 commissioners here today, auditor, treasurer, and county coordinator, and a bunch of guests. At this time, we'll stand up and do pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any amendments to the agenda today?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do. We have removed 4.2 out of the consent items, and then we will be adding 13.3 under administration for a contract negotiation.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item on the agenda then, sorry, we have to get approval for that.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Becker has made a motion to approve the changes to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, agenda item number 4 is our consent.
Today we have plenty. I'll try to read fast. Meeting minute approval for January 27th, 29th, 31st, and February 4th of 2025. Hire of a part-time public safety telecommunicator, Kevin Valley, start date to be determined. Resignation of Doug Thumb, GIS Specialist, 2/28/2025. Hire eligibility worker Cheryl Klemick, start date to be determined. Hire eligibility worker Stacy Elig, start date to be determined. Resignation of Administrative Service Manager Jenna Peterson, 3/13/2025. American Legion 417 Oscar Jacobson Post 1-year club liquor license. Birchwood Resort seasonal liquor license. Clarissa Ballroom 1-year dance license. Clarissa Ballroom 1-year 3.2 malt liquor license. Clarissa Ballroom 1-year setup license. Clarissa Ballroom 1-year wine license. Diamond Point 1-year liquor license. Double Eagle Golf and Grill seasonal liquor license. Greystone Golf Club 1-year liquor license. Long Prairie Country Club 1-year liquor license. Rainbow Lodge seasonal 3.2 malt liquor license. Rainbow Lodge 1-year setup license. Rainbow Lodge seasonal wine license. Saconac Campground 1-year liquor license. Shady's Golden Eagle 1-year liquor license. Shady's Midway Incorporated 1-year liquor license. Shattuck's Hub of Supper Club 1-year liquor license. The Rock Tavern LLC 1-year liquor license. Sauk Center Area Chamber of Commerce 1-day temporary on-sale liquor license, and a gambling permit for Sauk Center Area Chamber of Commerce. Event date 5/3/25.
Looks like
Good
everybody's,
work.
everybody's well hydrated, okay. So we have the consent item, we're good to go there then? Need a vote?
A motion.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent items, please?
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Noska, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like to recognize Jenna Peterson. I see that she has put in her resignation. She has worked with us on budgets for the past 10 years and also has been on the policy committee. So it's been a very great pleasure to be working with Jenna.
And Mr. Chair, I would like to recognize Doug Thumb, the GIS specialist. He's done excellent work for the county, and we're going to miss his services. So, thank you.
2 great employees, I agree 100%. You'll have to talk to your neighboring commissioners over in Alexandria to punish them for Doug's,
Yeah.
taking Doug from us.
Okay.
Dr. Jerry and the boys. Okay. So any other discussion? No, okay. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Before we move on to county auditor treasurer, I do want to say we have a very, very full agenda today, so I'm going to keep a real close eye on the times, and, maybe there might be a little time for overlap, but it's a full day, so please keep everything to as concise as you can, and give us the information we need, okay? And make sure everyone's phones and everything are turned off also. Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 5, county auditor treasurer.
Today, Commissioner Warren's agenda was sent, or was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $121,983.30.
Okay, we have the commissioner warrants in front of us for the amount of $121,983.30. Is there a motion to approve that?
Yes, motion to approve.
Commissioner Noska, motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Becker. Any discussion? Otherwise, I'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Noska?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $114,525.11.
Okay, the motion in front of us is for our Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants in the amount of $114,525.11. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Commissioner Denny motions. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Newman seconds. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Noska?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $89,562.09.
The action in front of us is to approve the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants in the amount of $89,562.09.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Becker, second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Noska. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Noska?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
The last item I have for you is the Todd County Parks and Trails 2025 appropriation. Background, you can see the attached letter for their request. Your options are to approve the resolution for the 2025 Parks and Trails Appropriation Fund, transferring $9,000 from Todd County allocated funds to the Todd County Parks and Trails Board Fund. And there's the resolution behind it.
Okay, the resolution in front of us is to approve the appropriation of $9,000 to the Todd County Parks and Trails Board Fund. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Denny. Any discussion? Hearing none, if we just do a voice vote here, no roll call?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Our friends now, item number 6. You're up, Board of Commissioners of the Soil and Water.
Can I ask that you state your names? Oh, is Sarah here taking minutes? I need to have the, who made the motion and who second from your board. So if you'd say your name when you make the motion and you second it, and then Bob, you'll follow with an approval once they're done. But I missed that. Who said the, calling the meeting? to order?
Wayne first made the motion.
All right,
Wayne Rindle.
I called it to order.
perfect. And now you'll do your,
Okay,
So moved.
motion made to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll make it.
Dale made the motion, Tom seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Deja, do we have any new
Well-
staff?
we need to do,
Oh,
our,
okay, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
our board has to approve the agenda.
Just approve, we don't have to do motions?
You'll do motions too.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the,
Agenda.
Agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Commissioner Becker moves to make the motion to approve. There's a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
At this time, we'll turn it over to Deja.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll try to be as efficient as possible with our time. Just as a reminder, this is our annual joint meeting that we have every year. Just to kind of collectively look at I want to first introduce our newest board supervisor. So Larry Levis, down from Birchdale. I don't know if you want to say anything briefly, or?
I hope you bear with me. This is my second meeting, so I'm still really learning, but thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. And as of December 31st, 2024, we were both, after 25 years, to retire from the board. So we welcome Larry on. And then Alyssa Sheevy is our new soil practitioner. She may have been brought up here earlier, but just to make sure you're aware of that. We have a current staff of 6 right now. We have 4 technical staff, program coordinator, and myself as the manager. And then you know that Tim Abnett also left us at the turn of the year. The intention with the new position that we have out right now, getting potentially interviewed for, is to continue the agreement with West Central Technical Service Area to cover a portion of that position. And I wanted to thank Commissioner Denny and Commissioner Byers for sitting in through the first initial process as we went through applications. We did have a nice chunk of applications, which is really nice. And then at full capacity, we would have 5 technicians, 1 manager, and 1 program coordinator. So those are just a brief updates. And then the next thing would be you all got a chance to see the 2024 annual report. Hopefully you got a chance to glance through that, and if you haven't, I'm just gonna mention a few things that you might wanna take a peek at. On page 4, well, first of all, we're heading into our 60th anniversary. So Soil and Water will be in existence at the end of 2025 for 60 full years. So that's we're gonna try to make that kind of a big deal. Our local work group tour this year, we're gonna get a nicer bus. We're gonna advertise it out, and we're gonna tour potentially all sorts of projects throughout the whole county. So that is going to be June 18th, if you wanted to jot that down. We'll bring it up again and make, maybe ask Denise or Jolene to make an announcement for you guys for public notice. So on page 4 is just kind of a goodbye to Lee after a quarter century of serving for us. And you'll see that our new employees are on the following pages on page 5, and then there's some new employees over at the NRCS on page 6. Moving on to the next probably important page, and Lauren's here today. He gets a little bit of credit, but one of our goals for 2024 was to help provide safe passages for the county. And so we've been working with Lauren on a couple projects, and we've been working with some of the Birchdale townships and some of the township areas on their safe road passages that deal with water quality as well. So there's a highlight of a project done on 79, I think it was, this year. And we're hoping that you'll see results in the next coming years. Lauren did bring this to our attention a couple years back, and the landowner was willing to do some fixes on it just to help relieve some of the pressures on the public works when it comes to road maintenance. So you can read about that. The next highlight is just page 22. Page 22 just talks about all the funding that's available now throughout the county. All 5 watersheds have been approved, and there is funding going forward. So you can switch to page 22 and take your time and glance through that, and feel free to ask any questions. On page 23, the following page, that is our projects. We have $1.2 million in projects that were completed this year. And you can see the breakdown of where the funding came from and the types of projects. We also did $517,401.88 in Ag BMP loans, and a total of 63 projects completed. The next page 24, be sure to pay attention to that. That's our award winners throughout the county this year. And just some notices like Sarah Catterhagen when she was honored by John Jaskey for her nomination as the board soil and water district employee. We have Deb Johnson down in Birchdale as well. Just remembering Samantha Mindorf and Jeff and Tracy Weldon, some recognition there. Randy, I know this was kind of an early on for you. You kind of inspired this or got this kind of going many years back, and same with Lou Nasca. So this is kind of an honor for, on page 26 for the Lions Club, for all the work they've been doing down there. And the last page I just want to bring to your attention, make sure you save the date for our feedlot meeting. We're pretty excited about that it will be up in Staples again this year on March 20th. So maybe public announce that if more than 2 commissioners want to come to that as well. Are there any questions on that portion of the report?
Board?
Okay, then if there's no questions, we can move on to the 2024 program highlights and 605 goals, that sort of thing. We did get 2 new grants this year. We got 3 total, but 2 that were more competitive in nature. So we brought in another $875,000. In early 2024, we were awarded the Hewitt Dam grant. Most of that work will kind of take place in 2026 and 2027 in conjunction with the roundabout road work that's being done up there. But we will end up removing the dam that's been up there and kind of restructuring that area for better fish passage and safety for people and water quality. A huge section of that area has been eroded, and we want to stop that erosion. So that's up on the Crow Wing River, I'm sorry. And then we applied for the soil health practitioner grant, and that's how we were able to get Alyssa. And that's a 3-year grant, and she's been kicking off, going great. We had, just last fall, we had over 1,700 acres in cover crops and soil health practices put in place with the assistance of SWCD. And then we were also awarded the Big Swan Phosphorus Reduction Grant. That's a $625,000 grant to work. We're working on several things in that area. We're working on the Schwanke Creek section. This is an alum treatment and education grant. We really need to work on educating the landowners around that live on Big Swan Lake about how their impacts are, or how their homes and their residences are impacting the lake. So that's an exciting thing. We did complete the last of our 5 major watersheds. Mississippi Sartell is still going, but again, that's like an 8 square acre down in the bottom, but all the other 5 are done. Thank you for those of you who are actively on that policy committee meeting. Wanted to bring this to your attention. The feedlot program every year gets performance credits. You guys have heard those before. So those are credits awarded to high-performing feedlot programs in the state. And they get a big pot of money, and they divvy it out to anybody who's done a good job. But the amount of money you get is based on how much work you accomplish and how good you do. We're #1 in the state. We tied with Candy Ojai, and that's bringing in an extra $17,000. So cheers to the feedlot program. Next, we kind of talked about working closely with Public Works, and we've got another project going forward that's eroding into a road ditch as well. And again, working with some townships, Health and Human Services, we have that drinking water grant, don't forget that. Tree planter has been ordered, and we're working on a grant extension for the LCCMR pilot grant. And then, this may be of interest to you too, we are currently undergoing what's called a PRAP evaluation by the Board of Soil and Water Resources. It's a performance review on the SWCD and our WACA program. The last thing, I brought in a little poster. I just wanted to share some additional information with you, and that will close my section of the presentations. You can unclip it here. Okay, so this kind of was a discussion that was a little bit held at the October meeting, and Commissioner Byers was present there. And we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the SWCD goals for 605. And obviously, our goal is always to make sure that we are acting in an efficient and operating in the best management way that we can to keep the county reimbursed and money coming into the county and that sort of thing. And so the first thing I wanted to point out to you is out of our current 6 employees, normally we would have 7, we do service the county in these areas. And I'm just showing you what the FTEs are in those areas. So currently, and it goes up and down from year to year, but we have 1.37 FTEs in the feedlot program doing feedlot work for the county. We have 0.6 WACA program, buffer program 0.25 of FTE, and the AS program is 1%. And so the only way we were able to do that with AIS is because we have an awesome AIS committee that really steps up to the plate and does things, and we've been working well. So that comes out to, I think if I did my math right, 2.23 FTEs that are that we are covering for the county. That had the SWCD not existent, you guys would have these out of the currently 6 employees that we have. Okay, so the reason why these are, well, we can talk about that too, but one of the benefits of this is that a lot of times if we're going out and we're doing a feedlot activity, we can charge that to a grant under the feedlot program. Not necessarily the feedlot program, but charge it to a different grant, watershed grant. Okay, we're working on a big barn roof over structure. Normally that would go to the charge to the feedlot program. We can charge that to a grant. So we can extend the hours of the that can be applied through the feedlot program, or the value of the program through our other grants that we have. Okay, we also have the 0.31 that's that was applied for West Central Technical Services and Nutrient Management. That covers the wage of a person. And then I think you all know that Sarah, 25% of Sarah's time is county. So different ways that the employees kind of balance or kind of affect the county in positive ways. Other contributions. So this is when we get called to do some of the planning work. So some of the planning and zoning, like tax forfeits, that's I guess not planning and zoning, but plat reviews, BOA type things that isn't really in our jurisdiction, but we can assist that way and kind of relieve the planning and zoning. It came out to when we did the hours, and they're not really good at tallying and marking those hours, but when you calculate it out, about $9,291.56. And that's kind of an average, and everything here is super conservative. Another thing is obviously our grants reimburse all of the working hours. So every working hour that I put in, even if it's beyond, the 2,088, whatever working hours I have, or 18, that gets charged to a grant. Okay. The next thing is the interest.
Geez, can you move that up a little bit? Maybe roll it over the table or something?
Yeah,
'Cause we can't-
Maybe Adam
we
can
can't
hold,
see
maybe
it.
Adam can hold it up for you, like,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah, you can't see it at all.
It's hard
Unless
for
we
me
stand
too,
up.
so.
had to do it, Adam, sorry.
There.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then obviously there's that big unknown about interest. Okay, so right now we have like a cash balance of 1.6 million in there. Obviously, that's all mixed in with wherever you guys mix it in. It's not our business. It's however you want to do that. But say if we just said at any, and those are fluid all the time. You guys know that. In, out, in, out, in, out. But if that was consistent, we just said 10% of that was locked into some sort of CD or some sort of savings account. Just very conservatively, that would be another 6,481. I'm sure it's way higher than that. I don't want to guess. It's just, those are other contributions that we don't think about. Efficiency and management and administration, we've calculated saves the director inputs on the soil and water side by 26%. So that's 26% of his time that he can apply to planning and zoning, as opposed to the, you know, the full 50% that he was supposed to put in, you know, according to agreement. And then the last one is history of equipment contributions through the grant. So we do try to, whenever we have excess dollars, buy vehicles, buy surveying equipment, buy different things like that. So that's kind of our highlights.
Awesome.
Did that kind of
Yeah,
summarize
work.
what you're looking
a
for?
lot of work.
Deja? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, good.
The chair will accept a motion for approval of the annual report for 2024.
I'll make it.
Second.
Tom moved, Barb seconded, all in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah.
And I'm looking for approval of the 2024 annual report also.
You don't need one, Mr. Chair.
No?
No, the only
Great.
thing you'll do now is you'll.
Let's keep
adjourn.
going then.
Yep.
I'd love for
Okay,
you to approve it, but.
Stormwater chair will accept
Don't know what you don't
motion
know.
for the Crowing memorandum of agreement for implementation.
You know, you have had a copy of that. It's very, almost the same exact language as all of our other memorandum of agreements with the growing.
It's the first thing attached to your agenda from us. Chair will accept the motion.
So. Second.
Barb moved, Dale seconded. Any questions? All in favor, simply saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I believe, I think the county board has to approve that too, right?
They already did.
No, yeah.
Yep, yes.
And then I think everything else is for information. Deja has mentioned several of those things, and the legislative priorities are attached to make this more brief, Mr. Chair.
Back to us.
What's that?
I think it's back to us now.
To approve that?
No, all we have to do is when you adjourn, we adjourn. That's all. You will make a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
accept a motion for adjournment.
Make it. A second then. Perfect.
Dale made a motion, Tom seconded. All in favor, saying aye. Want to thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
I would need to move to adjourn our portion too. I get a motion
So moved.
by Mr. Denny.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Noska. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. You elevated
Thanks,
the
guys.
game. You got visuals and everything. I
Appreciate
loved
y'all
it.
being here. Appreciate it all.
You beat your time by 2 minutes.
Good work.
I think I could do it.
Beat your Great visuals. Good job. Number one in the state, huh? That's awesome.
That's how people are gonna get around. They're gonna show you that we're winning. You're like, oh, I like to win.
We're on to agenda item number 7, which is our county assessor. Good luck following that act.
Good morning.
Chris.
Morning.
I'm here today to request the scheduling of the 2025 County Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting. Background on this topic is Minnesota Statute 274.14 states that the County Board of Appeal and Equalization must meet after the second Friday in June and may not meet after June 30th. The meeting must be an evening meeting and cannot end prior to 7 p.m. I have a handful of options laid out that fit those criteria. The dates you see there are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in 2 consecutive weeks. Excuse me, Thursday's not, June 19th isn't on there. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to throw out like Monday, the 23rd as an option.
We got a suggestion for Monday, the 23rd of June as an option. How's everybody's calendars look like there, all you vacationers? Randy?
I should be good there.
Randy's good.
I'm fine with that.
Tim's okay with that, Lou?
time?
23rd, a Monday?
Yeah, I think I'm clear with that as well.
6 o'clock.
All right, so the recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Todd County Board hereby schedules the 2025 County Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting for June 23rd, commencing at 6 p.m. and not ending before 7 p.m.
So that's the action in front of us. Need a motion to approve the 23rd of June at commencing at 6, not ending before 7.
Mr. Chair, I'd make that as a motion.
Commissioner Becker's made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. June 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Item agenda number 8, Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning, Lauren.
Good morning.
Our first item on the agenda this morning is a request to purchase a plow truck. This item was brought forth in front of the board 2 weeks ago at their previous meeting. Since then, we've been in contact with the 2 vendors, both for the chassis, the truck, and the outfitter, which provides the plow equipment and box. Talking with the vendor for the chassis, talking about prices and whatnot, and the trade-in value. With that, they really want to get us a truck. So they actually increased our trade-in value from $10,000 to $12,000, which is benefit for the county. And speaking with the vendor, which is Tollmaster for the snowplow equipment, they just let us know that unfortunately, due to prices and whatnot, they are actually increasing their prices in the next week or 2. So whether or not we believe that or not, that's what they're telling us. They're not telling exactly how much it will, but probably to budget somewhere between 3 to 5% increase just on the snowplow equipment. So with that all being said, that's kind of the background for this board action form. I'll just read the options. The first option, just try to summarize it, was to approve the attached state bid plow truck purchase agreement. Below that includes traded in unit number 24. The second option is to approve the attached state bid plow truck purchase agreement and approve unit number 24 to be sold on auction. Or our third option is do not approve any equipment purchases at this time. Our recommendation to the board is to approve the purchase of a new equipped plow truck with the trade-in value per the attached purchase agreements for a total of $321,436.24.
Board, we have the action in front of us to, been asked to approve the following, approve the purchase of a new equipped plow truck, includes trade-in per the attached purchase agreement, like Lauren said, $321,436.24.
I'll make a motion to approve option number 1.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. Discussion, please.
Discussion? Yes. I think at this time, we should hold off on purchasing this truck. I went out and got the equipment inventory master sheet from Lauren last week.
Yep.
Lauren provided it. And as you look at it, that truck has only had, about 2,000 miles put on in the last 2 years.
That number sounds about right, yep.
Yeah, and we've had truck 29 and 23 in the years 2000 and 2001 was 0 miles. Truck 30 in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 23 was 0 miles.
Truck 30 is a 2024,
That's correct,
so they wouldn't have any miles then.
okay.
Brand new.
I'm thinking with the budget and what we're hearing coming from the state, and the last 2 winters being more, very, very mild winters with not as much snow plowing done, if it's possible to skip a year and let us get caught up and just not buy 1 truck and go into the following year with it. And I know Lauren's got a snow plow truck for every year. Every year we buy a new plow truck. But if anybody else would like to see this information, I have it here.
Any questions, anyone? We do have a motion and a second in front of us to act upon. I did spend time last week at Public Works with Lauren, and he walked through the reasoning why he has one on usually every year or so. You want to explain that to me, or them, how you explained to me?
As far as what we replace every year,
Yeah, like, I think you talked to me about, replacing one a year is one thing, but replacing,
yeah, so if we look here, I think, just in this equipment list that Commissioner Becker had, and we provide this to the board all the time at the road meetings. We track the mileage every year, and what we try to do is basically replace one every year, which then, so we have a replacement every 16, 17 years, whatever that number comes to be. And when we do that, we can have a consistent budget line item. So if we didn't replace one year and the budget essentially went down to 0 for that year, the next year we'd have to come back to the finance committee and ask for an additional $300,000. So when we put our equipment replacement plan together, and this is what you see every year, we have a consistent amount. And for this year, we budgeted right around $590,000. In 2025, $600,000, so on and so forth, $610,000, $630,000, and then to $645,000. And the reason that increase is just because of inflation. So we want to present to the board on a consistent basis is a nice steady line. So the finance committee doesn't have the challenge of having up and down budget amounts. It's a consistent revenue with a consistent expense. And that's how we do the analysis and track our items to make sure that we're replacing them at the appropriate time so we can have a consistent budget for the board to consider.
Lauren, if we do not replace a truck this year, that $300,000 will remain in your budget. Why would we have to budget another $300,000 next year? Because that $300,000 would already be in that
If we rolled it over
budget.
to cash, correct?
You
To
know,
next year, and Denise can help me with this. If we rolled that over to cash next year in 2026, which would be fine, we'd reduce the levy amount by $300,000, our request there. But if we kept with the consistent replacement plan in 2027,
what, you don't want to replace 2 trucks then?
no,
Just one, so it'd be,
one.
so it'd be
But
just that
then
consistent
The cash in
300,000.
2026 would have to be backfed with a levy increase in 2027.
Why?
Are you following me?
No,
Yeah, we have to get the 300,000 somewhere the next year.
Right.
From 25 into 26, that money's gonna roll over, and
Yeah.
then you'll budget again for what you need going forward.
Correct.
She's just saying, use the money for 25, do a transfer rollover.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
But what happens in 2027
You're budgeting again for that.
with cash or levy increase?
Your budget, which then the budget committee works together to bring the levy down. So in essence, it will increase the levy, but then that's when the board of works at putting the
Sure.
levy down.
What we're trying to prevent is that future levy increase.
And you're trying to not have a roller coaster effect.
Correct.
I get what you're saying, but I also get what she's
I
saying.
understand.
yeah,
Yep.
it would
And
be
what I'm
saving, it
explaining,
would be
that's
saving
what
the
we're trying to
county.
present to make sure that we have a consistent number.
So, Mr. Chair,
yes.
when I first got in, we had one truck, one plow truck. I mean, when you got in it, you could see the ground. The floorboard was rotted out, and I mean, we had some pretty rough equipment. The board has worked with Public Works as far as upgrading all the equipment and making sure that we have good equipment for our employees. So, you know, in a way, I do agree with Commissioner Becker about going every other year, I think with the plow truck instead of every year. The trucks are maintained better. So, you know, we're keeping them up to par. I'm really shocked at the trade-in value. I don't know if we could sell it outright and get more, but again, you know, we gotta look at, do we need a new plow truck every year, or can we get by every other year? And I agree with, again, with Commissioner Becker as far as the weather. We haven't been out plowing, especially last year. So that should have saved time, wear and tear on everything, so, but that's just my thoughts.
I think.
Commissioner Byers, if I may, okay. 'Cause, so how many plow trucks do we have total right now? I don't have it in front of me right now.
15 or 16 on there.
So at that rate, if we went every other year, I understand the savings, but we're 30 years out of a truck by the time that the last one gets replaced, right?
If we went on that schedule.
If we went on that schedule. There's a 30-year-old truck in our fleet then.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it
and
be
that's too old.
If you replace the truck every year,
Every other
Every-
year, though.
That's
every
every
other
other.
year,
Be 30
but
year old.
right now, it would be every 16 years you're replacing the whole fleet. I'm just,
Yeah.
with what our outlook is coming down from the state,
Right.
and where we are sitting in budgeting, it's just,
I just don't
A
think we can
question
have that
asked,
older.
if we
Yeah,
can-
right. I understand, and it'd be great to save the money, but I just think that if we let our trucks even, I mean, a 16-year-old truck, that's still getting up there in age. You know, right
many-
now it's 19,
About
right?
just shy of 250,000 miles. And it's not necessarily the engine, the transmission that are concerned.
The rest
It's
of it.
unfortunately, they sit and work in salt every day, all day in the winter. And it just eats away at the little parts of the truck that essentially create problems for us. If I may comment that, and I agree, Commissioner Newman, the trade-in value is kind of, I don't want to use the word depressing, but disappointing that we're only getting 12,000. We reached out to one of the, let's say, auction companies, online auction companies, and they mentioned this, that, yeah, we probably could get you somewhere between 13 to 18,000, but remember, we take a 15% cut. So there goes your profit. Speaking with Commissioner Becker, you mentioned that the Auditor Treasurer's Office sells on,
corrections.
corrections
We
does.
use,
I apologize.
min bid.
Min-bid.
yeah.
I don't have familiarity with that. I did not reach out to them, but I'm guessing there's probably a markup on that as well. To hopefully gain some additional dollars on that, but it's also a risk. What if it doesn't sell? What if you get a lower value? We could put a min bid on there, minimum bid. But these are things we've looked at.
One of the things that I had asked about was, you know, would other entities, government entities in our county want to buy our equipment? Like, would a township want a plow truck? Would a city? I mean, probably only two cities would be Long Prairie or Staples. And I don't see Round Prairie or somebody, you know, buying a plow truck. But
A lot of the townships have their own.
one of the things they came back to me with was, well, I don't think I really want to buy your 18-year-old plow truck that's been in the salt for 18 years. We'd go get our own grant money and we'd try to buy something new. Just trying to think outside the box, like how could we get more money for these? Because, yeah, it seems like $8,000-$10,000, whatever. Wow, is there more scrap value to that than anything? But, you know, so looks like everybody has tried to wrap their heads around this and get to where we are. Any more discussion on this particular first action item? Otherwise, we're gonna have to make a vote on the motion in front of us. No discussion, and I think maybe a roll call vote would work, so we know what we got here? Everybody okay with that?
Had a motion by Nazca, a second by Benny, so roll call would be Commissioner Nazca.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes. Next item, please.
All right, our second item on the agenda is a very similar request, and that's an authorization to purchase a tractor mower. And very similar to the previous one that we just went through, this item was in front of the board 2 weeks ago. The background with this is that the road and bridge budget contains funds for the replacement of Unit 37 and 46, which is a 2008 Challenger tractor and diamond mower with approximately 4,700 hours. These two units are budgeted and scheduled for replacement this year. So our options are to approve the attached state bid tractor mower purchase agreement from Midwest Machinery Company for a total value of $191,068.23, or do not approve any equipment purchases at this time. Our recommended is to approve the attached state bid tractor mower purchase agreement from Midwest Machinery Company for the purchase of a 2025 John Deere 6M 155 tractor and a 2025 Diamond DDR-120 mower for a total value of $191,068.23.
Action in front of us is to approve or do not approve equipment of the tractor and mower. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion and to approve by Commissioner Denny,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Noska. Discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item.
All right, our last item on the agenda is just for an informational topic. If you remember about back in November, I came in front of the board with a request, an authorization to apply for a federal transportation grant in 2029 for CASA 51. I'm here today with the attached memo we got. We were successful in our application. So this project, we're gonna fund it with a combination of federal transportation dollars and state aid dollars. And we were able to obtain $1.82 million of federal transportation dollars to help fund this project. And if we can scroll down to the map attached to that, right there, CASA 51 is the old state highway that basically went through from Minneapolis to Fargo. Used to be the main highway to get from here to there. And you can see I-94 is adjacent to that, and it basically replaced CASA 51. When MnDOT, or the state, built the interstate back in the day, they gifted this highway to us with some of its problems. Some of the problems we have with this road is that underneath the bituminous, or asphalt, is the old concrete pavement. The concrete pavement was cracked and seeded back in the 90s. It's still there, and it's causing problems for us just to maintain that pavement surface in a good driving condition. Therefore, we know in 2029 or 2030, we know that this road's gonna be in pretty rough shape. We know it's probably gonna be about a $4 million fix to do some type of reclamation to it. That's why we went out and tried to obtain this federal transportation dollars. So with that, we know we've got a great project to upgrade this road that gets a tremendous amount of traffic from Osakis to Sauk Center through the community of West Union. So we're happy that we got this funding, and now that we've got the money, we can plan accordingly and start developing this project to deliver it in 2029.
2029?
2029. Did I say 2009? 2029.
No, I got you 29. 4 years from now, okay.
Yep,
So, Mr. Chair, I got a question. So we're gonna do a total reclaim?
total reclaim.
Similar what Stearns County did from their portion from the Todd County line to,
They did a concrete
Better?
overlay,
but theirs is concrete?
correct.
Okay,
So we looked at that, and using some of their budget items, we put a value, if we would do that to ours, of right around $8 million,
okay.
about $1 million a mile. Would it be perfect? Yeah, it'd be great, but $8 million a mile on our state aid system would basically eat up our budget for about 2 to 3 years. So that's why we chose a lesser option, but still a good option, and that's why we went out and tried to obtain that money to help us fund the gap
Right.
to deliver that project. We would love to do a concrete overlay, but it comes at a tremendous amount of cost.
Right. Because 27, well, now it's County 82, and Douglas County, that's all concrete from
That's concrete,
Osakis to Alec, and
Concrete has its pros and cons.
I understand that, but I'm just throwing that out there, it's,
Yep.
yeah.
Lauren, can I ask you what they did on 71? From, I think it was it through Bertha, Eagle Bend, they like put something on it and then they put the rocks on it and then overlaid
Yeah, they
that?
did kind of a micro seal. It's a very thin lift.
Yeah.
It doesn't really address the reflective cracking. And it'll gain you a small amount of years as far as serviceable life of the road.
Okay.
It's good.
It seems to be wearing really well.
Yeah.
I mean,
For now, yeah.
But with
holding
this
up for right
project,
now.
with a full-depth reclamation project, we actually stabilize that. We basically come in with reclaimers, the big machines, and grind it up.
Yep.
And then we inject something called a base stabilization product that helps solidify that base. We lay that out, and then we put a new surface on top. And with that, we see that we really reduce the amount of reflective cracking. And for example, we've done that in 2019 on County Road 47 and 19 going down to Melrose. And you can see that the cracks on there, after 5 to 6 years, are finally starting to come back a little bit. So we figure that this is the better product. It's not perfect, but for the cost, we think we're getting the most, so to speak, bang for our buck.
One more question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
City of West Union, are they gonna have everything fixed in that portion of the road?
As far as their sewer project,
Yes, sir.
I don't know. When we start developing this project, we will be in contact with them. I know they're aggressively applying for that.
Okay,
If at that point in time when we're really putting this project together, we've got 4 years, we'll be in contact with the city of West Union. And if they are going to be doing a sewer replacement, it doesn't make sense for us to do this project through the town. So we'll exempt that portion out, complete out to the north and to the south, and leave that portion and work with the city to accomplish that on 51 in the town area.
okay,
Good question.
yep,
I'm hoping they get it,
right.
but it's an aggressive application, I know. And I think they've got a good chance at it, but I haven't been in contact with them probably for about 8 to 10 months on that, so.
Okay, all right.
Okay, everybody? Okay, thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
MIS, agenda item number 9. Good morning, Lisa.
Morning, Lisa.
What I have for you today is a Splunk purchase for, BAF for a Splunk purchase. The background is the FBI CJIS security policy requires that any agency on the criminal justice data network have a system information and event monitoring solution in place. The Sheriff's Office, County Attorney, and Corrections offices are on this network. Since this does affect dispatch, some 911 funding can be used. This is also a benefit to the rest of the county offices. Currently, any software that touches the CJDN needs to be vetted by the BCA. This process takes quite some time by the BCA. Currently, Splunk on-premises is one of the very limited software solutions that are approved by the BCA. Your options are to approve the purchase of Splunk for our SIM solution for $10,100 or not to approve. The recommendation is to approve the purchase of Splunk for the county SIM solution.
Quick question before we ask for motions. Can you explain some of these acronyms? What's CJDN?
That's the Criminal Justice Data Network. It's supplied by the BCA, so for criminal histories, all that criminal information, that is very secured.
Okay, that's about the only, oh, it said it right above there, I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
My bad. Okay, we have a motion or action in front of us to approve or not to approve Splunk and the amount of $10,100. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase.
Commissioner Noska made the motion to approve the purchase. Seconded? Anyone?
Second.
Is that you, Tim?
Yeah.
Commissioner Denny made a second of the motion. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
GIS, Adam, 9/11 address sign change.
All right, good morning. The 911 committee met on January 21st to discuss the change of the 911 address signs to the horizontal signs from the current vertical signs. The recommendation from the 911 committee was to make the change to the horizontal signs and to bring a topic to the work session. Topic was further discussed during the February 4th County Board work session. So the options are a motion to adopt the change to the horizontal signs or two, make no changes. Recommendation is to adopt the change to horizontal 911 address signs effective immediately.
Thank you. We have a action to approve the adoption to horizontal 9/11 address signs effective immediately. A motion to approve that?
So moved.
Commissioner Newman approved, seconded by Commissioner Becker, yes?
Yep.
Seconded by Commissioner Beckner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Adam, you're still in the hot seat. Number
Okay,
11.
P and Z now. The Mosier request for rezoning, an application for rezoning of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, section 2 in Burlington Township from R10 to AF2 was submitted on January 8th. This is parcel 05001300. Application was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the February 6th public hearing. Final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the rezone with no conditions. Option is to grant the rezone, deny the rezone, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. Recommendation is to grant the rezoning of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, section 2, Burlington Township from R10 to AF2 with no conditions.
Thank you. The action ahead of us is to potentially grant rezoning in Burlington Township from R10 to AF2 with no conditions. You see the parcel sections that went forth. We have a motion to approve this.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Commissioner Denny made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner
Do we have a
Noskis,
map for this?
Yeah, they're in there.
There's
If
a
you
map.
Scroll
Do we
down
scroll
there,
down quick?
Denise,
I
a little
didn't-
bit. Yeah, so it's an 80. The back 80 off the road is AF2. They're looking to rezone that front, or sorry, the back 40, but that front 40 along County 3 is R10. That whole section is, so they're looking to rezone that to AF2.
But this does borders AF2, right? Yeah,
Yes.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it's not out of the ordinary. to
It is
have
not a
there.
spot zone, no.
It borders.
It's touching it, yeah, so.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Did you get the second, Denise, by? Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
And we're back on schedule.
Right. Well, I just like
Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Catherine.
You know what I mean? That's all. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, few board action forms here to present in front of you this morning. First one being, find my notes. Approve of opioid settlement community request for funding. Some background. The Todd County Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee provided a community request for funding application from October through December 2024. After review of the application, two applicants, Better Days Treatment Center for $10,000 and the First Baptist Church of Long Prairie for $3,225 were approved for funding from the committee. Your options are to approve the opioid settlement community request for funding or to not approve. It's our recommendation for option number 1 to approve the opioid settlement funding request for funding.
Before we do have a motion or a second, is there, Catherine, do you think you'd be able to tell us, you know, like, we're giving these funds to somebody, what are they gonna do with them?
Sure, absolutely.
Kind of what's, kind of the
Right.
last
This
4 weeks
was,
have been a lot about where the money's going and what it's being used for, so please.
for sure. If you recall, this was our first community request for funding with the opioid settlement. We anticipated doing it annually. So just getting information out there was nice. Better Days Treatment, we have funded already in 2024, and Candace came last fall, I believe, and presented. Her request really is about treatment barriers. So if there's anyone who wants to come to her treatment center but can't afford to pay her full rate, has transportation issues, has childcare issues, those types of things, that's where those funds go. And we have received invoices from her in the past, and they've been very accurate and appropriate. First Baptist Church of Long Prairie had a great application as well. If you didn't know, they do a recovery program similar to AANA, but different, that they've done for a number of years. I want to read the name of it so I don't say it wrong. It is called Celebrate Recovery Program. So that is led by one of their pastors there, a previous chemical dependency professional, really well done as well. What these funds would allow them to provide childcare and food for the weekly sessions. And that, again, is really important. They do them on Friday nights, a time when we all know it can be difficult for those in recovery. So this, we thought, was very appropriate. And again, this is a reimbursement grant, so we don't just give them $3,000. They need to submit receipts, invoices, and then we reimburse them for it. Any questions?
Thanks for the explanation. Okay, so the action ahead of us is to approve the 2 opioid settlements for First Baptist Church of Long Prairie and Better Days Treatment. Have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Commissioner Denny approved,
I'll second.
and Commissioner Becker second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Great, and you see that that was coming out of our fund opioid settlement.
Yep.
It's a funding source. Thank you. All right, next we have the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee member list. We do like to bring this in front of you all as the Board of Commissioners to approve this committee list as often as we can, along with the policy, which we do every 3 years. But some background, the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee provides input into public health issues that affect Todd County. The committee members include Ronna Blees, who is Faith Community Nurse, community member, Cindy Denning, Staples Motley ISD 2170, Kristen Defoe, Central Care Health RN, Callista Lebner, that's Lehner, sorry, I knew I said that wrong, Central Care Health, Megan Cruz, Todd Wadena Community Corrections, Amber Rosinski, community member, Bernice Desatel, community member, again, Barb Becker, Commissioner District 1, Randy Newman, Commissioner District 5, myself as director, and I think I missed a line, Dr. Alex Harsha from Lakewood, Tanya Levine from the Long Prairie Gray Eagle School District 2753, and Jason Polovic from the Todd County Care Center, Central Todd County Care Center. Your options are to approve the members serving on the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee or to not approve. It is our recommendation you approve the members serving on the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Motion in front of us is to approve the advisory committee as listed on this board action form.
I would make that motion and just make note that it's very nice to meet with these people, and everybody has a lot of input. Very, very good discussion.
Thank you.
Very good group.
Great.
Yes.
So the motion by Commissioner Becker is to approve this. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Newman has seconded it. Any discussion? Sounds like a great group. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Great, thank you. We do meet quarterly as well. So we rotate those meetings from Long Prairie to Staples with each meeting. Next, we are bringing forth the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee policy and job description. The Todd County, some background, the Todd County Public Health Advisory Committee meets quarterly and provides input to public health issues that affect Todd County. The Public Health Advisory Committee policy and job description has been reviewed by the committee. Your options are to approve the Todd County Public Health Advisory policy / job description as it's been reviewed by the committee and attached here, or not to approve. It's our recommendation to approve the Todd County Public Health Advisory policy / job description as reviewed by the committee.
That's the committee, right? The motion, or excuse me, the action in front of us is to approve the policy job description. Has been reviewed by the committee. They think we should approve it. So any motions to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Newman has made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Becker, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Administration's up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Catherine.
All right, the first board action form I have is for Personnel Policy, Section 7.24, Employee Recognition Service Awards. Background on this BAF is based on input from the Policy Committee and discussion at the County Board work session. We are presenting Section 7.2 Employee Recognition Service Awards to the board for approval. The proposed changes include updating the dollar amounts for years 5, 10, and 25, as well as introducing new awards for years 35 and 40. Options 1 would be approve the resolution, or option 2, do not approve the resolution. And then Denise, can you scroll down? This is the redlined policy. So this is what's in red would be updated. Black is what we currently have.
Okay. So we have the following action in front of us to approve the personnel policy, section 7.24, employee recognition service awards to the red line versions that you saw before there. Is there a motion to approve that?
A motion to approve it.
Motion by Commissioner Noska, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, next board action I have is for the Sourcewell Internship Program. Background on this is Sourcewell provides funding to support student interns hired by the county. The program allows for financial support of $15 an hour up to 640 hours for the duration of the internship. Todd County has participated in the program in previous years. Departments are requesting to utilize this program again. The Personnel Committee supports this request for departments requesting to take part in the program. For the purposes of the program, interns are considered county employees, and the county is responsible for applicable employer taxes, ESST, and workers' compensation. Option 1 would be approve participation for the year 2025 in Sourcewell's internship program for the departments requesting to participate. I have Health and Human Services, Solid Waste, GIS, Planning and Zoning, Public Works, MIS, Sheriff, and Administration. Option 2 would be do not approve. The recommendation would be to approve participation for the year 2025 in Sourcewell's internship program for the departments requesting to participate.
Okay, the action in front of us is to approve the participation for the year 2025 for Sourcewell's internship program. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So
Commissioner Becker has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 13.3.
Oh, okay. So let me grab that sheet. I didn't realize I was. Okay. And I just wanted to comment on that last action. We really encourage students to please look at our internships for Todd County. We've got a lot of great opportunities and a lot of great offices. So if either a new graduate from high school or a current college student or just a recently graduated college student is looking for an internship for this summer, we highly encourage them to take a look at the website on our postings because we'll have those leads posted. All right, next item. So the Todd County negotiations team recently met with AFSCME, HHS, and they successfully reached a tentative agreement. Key highlights of the agreement include the cost of the Minnesota paid family and medical leave premiums will be shared equally between the employer and employees, with the employee portion deducted through payroll. Employer contributions for dependent coverage will continue to increase in line with previous trends. In 2025, single insurance will remain fully covered for employees. Starting in 2026 and 2027, employees who choose the high-cost single plan will contribute $25 per month. A new 11-step salary schedule will take effect on the first full pay period in January 2025, with employees placed on the step in their grade that provides an increase plus one additional step. Cost of living adjustments, COLAs, are set at the following: 2.5% for 2025, 3.5% in 2026, and 3% in 2027. And there is a cap on six severance, which will be implemented for employees hired on or after January 1st, 2025. Your options are to, one, adopt the tentative agreement with AFSCME HHS, or number two, do not adopt the tentative agreement with AFSCME HHS. And recommendation, well, we'll leave that at this time for your decision.
And Denise, I just want to make a note on the BAF. I forgot to add to the title of it. I just put 2025, 2027. It should be AFSCME HHS contract. I just noticed that.
Action in front of us. We all know that, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, this bargaining unit ratified the agreement that we all sat in on with our labor law attorney, commissioners, whatnot. So these are highlights of that. We're looking to approve that ratified contract today so that this group can be officially done in the book. So I'd ask for a motion to approve that ratified contract.
I'll motion to approve the ratified agreement with AFSCME HHS.
Commissioner Noska. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion's carried. We're settled with, officially with one of our unions.
They're gonna get a
Congratulations
Yes.
Getting a good paycheck.
to everyone. Okay, at this point, I think we're gonna move our standing reports. Does it make sense to do closed session now and then do standing reports at the very end? You guys, what do you think? I mean, sometimes there's questions.
Yeah, that's
We
fine.
got other stuff after that.
We don't have anyone.
Yeah.
So
And we got,
we're waiting for.
anybody that's scheduled for, that's listening, that's scheduled for work session, I mean, it's gonna be potentially 25, 30 minutes before we get into back to work session, so I guess at this point, I would move to I'd ask for a motion to move to closed session.
So move.
Commissioner Newman has made that motion. There a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Denny. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're closed. Please go take a break or grab a coffee, and then we'll meet in the
Right on it.
we're gonna do allegations first and then.
Oh, okay.
St. Cloud Library Board.
About that, 6 or 5:30?
It's supposed to be there at 5 for the finance, but if I can't, I can go at 6.
Alrighty.
All right, the time is now 11:22. We're going to need a motion to reopen our regular board meeting.
I'll make that motion to reopen from
Motion.
closed session.
A motion by Commissioner Becker.
They're laughing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Noska. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, I'd like to just address the closed session. We actually took care of 15.1 closed session allegations first. And the motion or the action in front of us is to terminate an employee for just cause effective 2/18/25. I guess the employee number is 597. Or do not terminate. So do I have a motion to, we're recommending to terminate. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Denny, second, anyone?
Second. Oh, you can have it.
Second by Commissioner Noska. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries, motion carries. As to our second closed session, which is performance evaluation for county coordinator. We had a successful employee performance evaluation, and so that portion is complete. Can we move to standing reports now? County auditor, treasurer, please.
Yes, I attended the Mako conference last week. It was very good. We had good sessions, good networking. Our tax forfeit sales that we do on forbid for assets, whatever it's called, was highly reviewed. We have a lot of counties that are going to be piloting with us because they liked the way Todd County was doing it, so that was good reviews for Todd County. So we'll have a lot of adjoining counties that are going to tag into. And I just want to thank Becky Jager-Meese for taking this task on. It's a big endeavor now with that Tyler versus Hennepin caseloads, and so there's a lot of more steps to this, and she's done a great job with it. And so that's been successful, and I do have also update on the Swanville School Special Election unofficial results. 225 yes, 218 no. Again, those are unofficial. And then the annual township election for the 21 county townships is March 11th. Even if your township does not have an election that day, all 27 townships will hold their annual meeting. And preparation is underway for the Osaka School District special election planned for April 8th. So even though it's a non-election year, we're still very busy with elections. And then also just a reminder to the board, I did get a call from Wanda Seifert that the annual township meeting will be April 1st at Clarissa Ballroom. More details to follow. She just wanted me to be aware because I'm one of the speakers there. She'll be reaching out to everybody else. So you might want to put that on your calendar. And that's all I have.
No county attorney present. Move on to county coordinator's report.
I just wanted to take my time to let the board know that the Initiative Foundation sent a letter, and I'll just read a part of it. It said, "We have received Todd County's 2025 payment to support the work of the Initiative Foundation in central Minnesota. Please extend our appreciation to your board. Thank you. We truly value your partnership and your support." And it is signed by Brian Verding, the president, and Carl Newbanks, the vice president of philanthropy. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Is that it? We're good then? Jackie? Okay, move on to commissioner's report then. Commissioner Noska?
Yeah, for me, business as usual. I didn't have a lot of meetings last week, so just a couple in the hopper, and we had, I don't know, nice to see that it's supposed to warm up next week.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Denny?
Yep, we just did our regular scheduled meetings, the policy, finance, personnel, had a SWCD meeting where we went through interviews, did a Laudermill hearing, met with veteran services, that was good, department head, personnel negotiation, or negotiations personnel. I had to miss a meeting in which Commissioner Newman covered for me on soil or solid waste. But other than that, yeah, it's just missing some keynotes I'm sure we talked about, but just a lot. It was a busy last couple weeks here.
Thank you. Commissioner Becker, please.
Yes, we had the public health meeting, which you've seen the people that are involved in that meeting. We also asked Jackie if she could bring some of that to a work session. It was a very good meeting. And then on Monday the 10th, we had negotiations here all day. And on the 10th, I also had a corrections meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Newman, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, on the 4th, I had attended also the Todd County Public Health meeting. On the 6th, I had a Zoom meeting with Central Minnesota Council on Aging. We're a little concerned with federal funding with the Older Americans Act, so we're going to pay a little attention to that. Had negotiations on the 10th. On the 12th, had a park board meeting. The 13th, attended solid waste meeting up in Barville. The facility is moving along quite nicely. So hopefully we'll get that tour when we have our spring meeting out there. But like I said, it's moving along pretty good. And then attended the Rainbow Rider meeting, and we are still messing with a 4-year project on trying to get a bus barn built in Alexandria. So the saga continues with the state and the federals on the bus barn up there, so we'll keep you informed.
Good luck with that. Thank you, Commissioner Newman. I've been lucky to spend a lot of time with Tim lately. How we were together at finance, policy, department head. The 7th, I spent some time with Lauren on public works. And then the following week, what do we have, Tim? Probably had more stuff. Personnel, maybe? Yep. Went to a negotiation, no, I'm sorry. We had interviews for road deputy I got to sit in on. Had a child care meeting on the 11th. The 12th was department heads, I believe. 13th was soil and water, and Laudermill hearing. So lots going on. Thanks, Randy, for doing parks and trails. I was out that day. Lou covered for me on another one. So what a great team we got up here. Good job, guys. That's it for me. Need a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting.
So moved.
Commissioner Denny moves. A second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We're adjourned. Let's move into work session, huh? Keeping these great people waiting. Adam, you're up first. And Kim. All yours.
Well, this was a conversation had at Personnel Committee last week, and then Commissioner Byers and Denny had asked we bring this in front of the whole board for discussion about where GIS should be placed in a more permanent fashion. Since Chris Pelzer left the county, GIS was placed under my supervision on an interim basis. It's been a while now, and I'm still the interim supervisor, so we're just looking at options, and so I don't know where you want to go with it from there, but that's what we're here to do, is
I
have
think
discussion on
the committee had recommended that we move the 2 GIS positions under the county recorder at this time. And there were specific things related to the funds that are dispersed, the amount of work that they do for that department, the work share. Location was a discussion, but it wasn't a finalized discussion. I'm gonna just say that at the moment. But, you know, if you've got questions for either either folks, I'd like to open it up. I mean, Kim, you had a list, I don't think I have it with me, but of the different things that they do for your area.
Yeah, I do. I brought that with me. Yeah, we basically work together on the splits and the combinations, which do come from Adam's office also, but there's roughly 150 splits or property line adjustments a year. When the public calls and has questions in regards to the land or the mapping, you know, they'll typically start with my office. Or if they're looking for deeds, and then we send them to the GIS or work with GIS to help them pull deeds for legal descriptions. Yeah, and then my office does fund all the pictometry flyovers, which comes out of my compliance fund. We pay for, like, their big scanners for the plat maps that come through. And then we pay for, like, their sign cutters or integrations of software programs, the server updates, tablets, stuff like that, so.
Anyone have any comments or want to chime in, or?
I'll jump in, yeah, if you don't mind. During this process, we put a lot of thought and effort in what to do, and our main concern was to get it in the building. And we appreciate all the conversations we had with Adam and Kim and Chris too, that they all work well together on resolving issues. And like I said, just want to get it inside the building. We had everybody had some, again, great reasons why they wanted them. At this point, we just felt like this was the right decision going forward. And again, we'll figure out where they're going to fall, but in this building was the priority. I can't stress that enough. So
Obviously, we are, by the end of February, we'll be down one GIS technician with potentially another one, depends on how Catherine's pregnancy goes. So in the interim, I think that you two of you have worked a little bit with, or talking, had conversations on who's going to handle those responsibilities. But once we're back fully staffed, we'd recommend that they report to the recorder. And again, we'll find the right location. We don't want to move people a couple times, just want to move them once, so.
Right, right.
Mr. Chair, I have to agree with you. I mean, we probably should have looked at, we've been looking at that for the last couple of years, but, you know, that's a pain when they're down in a closet in Health and Human Services, and I'll put it that way, they were down in a freaking closet. So as a commissioner, if you needed anything, you'd have to go over there, get into the building, okay, and then try to get a mapping. And they work so close with Recorder's Office and Planning and Zoning, it's just, it was mind-boggling that we had them over there. But when we brought Water and Soil in with Planning and Zoning, we kind of ran out of room downstairs, so this is where we're at. And they used to be over on the Main Street Government Center, where I think economic development is in that corner of the building. But that's where they used to be located years ago. But, you know.
Yeah.
And Doug told me, you know, anytime he had to do anything with the recorder's office, he had to go out of there. He couldn't walk through Health and Human Services because they wouldn't allow it. So he'd have to walk all the way around to get over to here. So it's been a pain.
You guys are, I mean, if this is a go, we'd move it to board action next meeting. And then we'll let the department head will, you know, come up with a game plan on location. I mean, that's, you know, you'll be supervising, managing them, so. Everybody okay with moving this to next regular board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all the time you spent with me.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. No, I think it's good to just, it's best to just have it resolved because it's just kind of been lingering out
It's
there for a
been-
while, so.
It's been out there for a full year already.
I guess in 2
Yeah.
weeks it'll be resolved.
Yes. And I'm still in contact with Douglas County about stuff, so I'll maybe fill Kim in on that stuff, but there should be some follow-up conversations about that when we're staffless for a little bit too. So.
And
but
work
we can
with
catch up on that.
Nellie and admin on Catherine's scenario, and,
Yep.
you know, obviously she's having a baby, so be respectful of her time, but if she's, yep. Thank you, that's good, appreciate it, have a good day.
Thank you.
Next Jackie, please come join us.
Good morning again. So in front of you, I brought an accountant contract. This contract with Jenna Peterson's resignation that was approved by board this morning, and she submitted her last day of work is mid-March. I don't exactly remember which day it was, but maybe even March 13th for some reason is coming to mind. But Jenna has agreed to stay on in a contract form with us. This is run through John Lindeman already. And he has made some updates and amendments to the contract. And now I wanted to bring it in front of you that she has agreed to help transition her replacement all the way through possibly July 1st of 2026. But we're looking ahead as we start approaching the budget year and then do the year-end analysis, and a lot of stuff is going on and that she's charged with our Clifton Larson Allen audits. She's a tremendous asset to us, like Commissioner Becker had said this morning. We're sad to see her go, but very thankful that she is considering the contract that is here in front of you.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. Is she contracting with any other counties besides
is.
Todd?
She is. She contracts with Rice County and Wadena County Public Health.
Then the follow-up question, is she's charging them the same amount?
I have no idea what her contract lies with other counties.
She was first contracted with Todd County, correct?
Back in, before the merge, I believe. And then when Public Health and Human Services merged, she became the Administrative Services Manager at that time. I believe she had said she contracted for a handful of years prior to the merge.
Excuse me. Any more discussion?
Oh, Mr. Chair, one other question. What's the financial, is that gonna change at all? Is it gonna be more than her current salary, or?
I believe this contract indicates $60 an hour. It's definitely more than her current salary. Where she's at with her salary right now, I guess I didn't come prepared for that. But
120 hours.
Is something that we are definitely gonna need to engage in as we train that new individual. There will not, by the time we get that new individual here and in and they give their notice, probably won't be an overlap, so. And her position is critical to our levy, So it would be very beneficial for you to consider the contract, so we just don't have that break, especially with the potential impact that we are all foreseeing for 2025 and 26.
I think we'd all agree it's pretty critical. This has to go to John.
It did. Yep.
Okay. Let's get it moving then, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll bring that to the next board meeting.
Take next step, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have Mike Woolley here from Sourcewell as we do our Health and Human Services update. Mike, I'm gonna let him go through his position and what he does for the Region 5 Plus, which is Morrison, Cass, Crowing, Wadena, Todd, and Aitken is the plus. So this is something that we as a Region 5 Plus directors have asked Mike to kind of quantify the numbers with around mental health and the costs that have been incurred to the county around do not meet criteria. So something we can take to our legislative team when we meet with them, either at the Capitol or here, if they come here, because we want to be prepared to show the importance of the dollars that have been cost shifted to the counties over the years, but as they're opening up 2 new departments, so they in the state with DHS DCYF, which is the Department of Children's, Youth, and Families, and DCT, which is Direct Care and Treatment. So we'll go through a little bit of that with our HHS update, but I'm gonna hand it over to Mike right now and let him do his introduction and do a quick presentation to you all.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Like Jackie said, part of our motivation in coming is to really inform folks for future topics with lawmakers at the state level about the cost shifts that have been incurred by our counties in the region and the efforts we've made to try to impact those cost shifts. So we'll just talk a little bit about that. We'll jump right into this presentation I've got for you here. As it says on the first slide, these are efforts that we've taken to try to decrease unneeded acute hospital stays. Next slide, please. So the position that I represent, so I am called a Senior Regional Transition Administrator at Sourcewell, and this is a partnership between Sourcewell and the Region 5+ Adult Mental Health Initiative. I'm sure you're aware of the adult mental health initiatives. They are spread across the state, and their goal is to increase access to and improve the regional mental health systems across the state of Minnesota. And they receive some funding from the state. So in partnership with the Region 5 AMHI and Sourcewell, we initiated the position that is the Regional Transition Administrator in 2017. And next slide, please. There's a little bit here about Sourcewell, who Sourcewell is. Sourcewell is one of our service cooperatives spread out across the state. I'm sure you're familiar. We don't have to go too much into depth there. You can go to the next slide, please. Does not meet criteria. So this is the cost shift. In 2016, the legislature said that any individual who's in a hospital and the doctor has determined that they no longer need to be in the hospital, the cost of care for that individual will be billed fully to the county where that individual resides. And right now, that's a little bit over $2,000 a day for people at the MRTC or the CBHH. We roughly use $2,000 a day just to kind of give us a round number on that, but it varies year to year. They put out a total cost per facility each year. AMRTC is over 2,000. CBHH, last number we had was right around that 2,000 mark.
The reason for the cost shift back in 2016 was stated to incentivize counties to get their people out of the state hospitals. Since then, I mean, how many hospitals have closed? Systems, there's definitely a backlog or it's difficult to place people out of the hospitals, the mental health hospital system, which has resulted in extreme costs to counties. The state continues to close facilities, not staff them, have beds, but not the staffing to support the hospital bed capacity. So then we're stuck with the bill in paying for these individuals that cannot be placed outside of the hospital, so.
Yeah, so in 2017, having foresight and looking into what these cost shifts could look like to counties, the MHI entered conversation at Sourcewell and developed the position. Please, at any point, feel free to stop me with questions or comments.
A lot of acronyms, so we'll try and keep you on top.
I'm trying to be cognizant of that. We can go to the next slide, please. So the primary goal of the Regional Transition Administrator is to reduce those does not meet criteria days, but also secondary goals we have in assisting county case managers, serving as a liaison with direct care and treatment, and facilitating our adult mental health case manager networking meeting. And we'll talk about all those things. Next slide, please. So how do we actually go about reducing does not meet criteria days? So there's a number of different ways listed up here, but the biggest things that I would cite are, this is not just this position that I have that's been the efforts of the region. It's been a systematic change across the region in efforts to make sure that we are engaging with our partners at Direct Care and Treatment, engaging with our partners that provide services to individuals in our region. And we have really changed a lot of the way that we work to make sure that not having people stuck in the hospital is a primary thought whenever somebody enters into a state psychiatric hospital. And then also the last one on the list, there's just lots of referrals. A lot of it requires time. We've said with this position, you have impact on the things that you pay attention to. And a big part of this role is just paying attention to all these things in a very concerted, pointed way. Next slide, please. Thank you. We also provide assistance to case managers. We relieve some of the stress on them because when people do get in the hospital, even though that's a lot of work for case managers, the rest of their caseload does not go away. They still have people in the community that require their assistance. And the capacity of the case manager to provide that assistance, while maybe having to worry a little bit less about placement after the hospital, is, I think, a significant benefit to the case managers. Next slide, please. Another part of this role is being a liaison with our treatment facilities, direct care and treatment facilities. For our counties across the region, we don't necessarily commit people all the time, and even if you do commit people, there are 5 CBHHs and the AMRTC where those individuals could go. And so having case managers know the social workers and the staff at those hospitals and kind of have that intimate knowledge about how they function is really challenging. But having one position in the region that's a touch point has a significant benefit in being able to know those hospitals, know how they function, understand those doctors, and build relationships with the social workers in those hospitals. And that's a big part of my role.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Good. How many treatment centers are there and where are they located?
Yeah, so a lot of what we're talking about today is the state CBHHs, Community Behavioral Health Hospitals, and the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center. So those are the state psychiatric hospitals. So the CBHHs are in Rochester, Annandale, Alexandria, Baxter, Bemidji, and Fergus Falls. So there are 6 CBHHs, and then there's the AMRTC. And each of the CBHHs is a 16-bed facility. The AMRTC can hold quite a few more. I don't know.
Which is Anoka.
That's in Anoka.
Regional.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know the number off the top of my head. They've kind of grown and shrank and over the years. I think the facility itself could hold well over 200 people. I don't think they've had the capacity to serve 200 people in a while. But those are the sites that generally we're talking about. There are other state-operated facilities. So Wadena has it's called MSHS, Minnesota Specialty Health Systems. And that is a step down from hospital level of care that's a little bit different. There's a similar facility in Brainerd at the old state hospital site. And then there's a similar facility in Wilmer.
Are there all these like levels of this stuff because like it's needed, or I mean, is it just because to me it's like, can they just I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are there so many levels, and why did they make it that difficult to like get like is like I can't get somebody checked in because you don't know the people there, the processes, the procedures. That's why your position exists.
So, as far as levels go, primarily the hospitals are all at one level. So when you're talking about the AMRTC and the CBHHs, they're all pretty flat. AMRTC does escalate a little bit, serve people who have a little bit more aggression and violence, but that's not entirely true because those people can be served at CBHHs. So, you know, in general, I think it's useful to think of all of those as kind of the same level. They're all psychiatric hospitals. When you're talking about the MSHSs, Wadena, Brainerd, Wilmer, those are a step down. But back to your question about
Step down in the amount of services they offer.
Yep, step down in level of need.
So the
for
client
people
is
served there.
differently classified than a.
So usually those are transition out type steps. So somebody who's been in the hospital has improved to the point where they no longer need to be in the hospital, but can't completely be back in the community and need some additional treatment, inpatient treatment. They would enter into one of the MSHS sites. Or we also have community sites that do similar things.
Excuse me, we try to have them in the least restrictive setting possible, so that's why we have these step downs to ensure that they are at a place that they need to be to continue to stabilize so they can be back in the community.
So back to your question about kind of why my position exists. So when you think about those 16-bed facilities and the AMRTC, right? That's, last count I heard was somewhere around 220, 240 beds across the state that are state psychiatric hospital beds. So think about that spread over the 3 million people, not nearly enough beds. So the people who are served in those facilities are the highest needs really in the state of Minnesota. If you have a lower need than that, then you can be served in a community hospital is generally how the state thinks about it. Well, because those people have such high needs, oftentimes, if it's difficult to get into the hospital, how much harder is it to get out? How much harder is it to find a place in the community that can't do all the things that a hospital can do, and can also keep those people safe? And that's where I come in. And all the changes that have been made in the region. So it's really about that transition out, that next step after the hospital, that we've put a lot of effort in, because that's where also the costs are getting transferred.
And there's also that added complexity in there that if you're on a certain waiting list, you can't be on other waiting lists. And if you get a referral to that one, then you can't be on that one.
Who makes those rules
Direct care and treatment.
of that facility? Is that a state position or is that a what?
Yeah, so now it's,
DHS.
so direct care and treatment used to be under DHS, and now they're transitioning to be their own entity. So it's that entity makes the rules about how their admissions processes work, and it's different for each facility. It is complex, and that is a part of my role in navigating that out transition and how our DC&T relations work. That's a part of what I do, yeah.
So as you see, it's very complex, and it's, our goal is not to, or anybody's goal is not to be in a state facility. But it's really to be an active part of that discharge planning, but planning, to reintegrate them into the community as much as they can be or should be. When you have case manager with full caseloads, managing their caseloads, and then you have somebody that might be in a higher level of care because of behaviors, or we really work hard to try and get them out of those state facilities and into placement. And when they're discharged from that state facility, like we said, we have one individual that had a very high, and Mike will be going through that high cost. It was very problematic to get him out of there and put him in a safe environment to where he wasn't to harm himself or somebody else. So
Because those individuals in charge of discharging them have these rules and whatever that they have to meet this criteria before they're let out.
And with that one individual that Mike's gonna go through, how many people did we call places? And how many denials? We got that many denials as well. He was a 3-to-1 initially, 3 staff members to 1 client. And then he went to 2 to, and he might still be at a 2-to-1, I'm not sure. Staffing ratio. So they become very complex and a very high needs. And we want, like I said, we want to be a very active part of that discharge planning so we can stay on top of those potential costs that now we are relied upon to pay, so.
And you have to remember, all these facilities are working with every county and tribe, so you have 87 counties plus tribes. So to have one contact in one region is more beneficial and provides better care for our people.
No, you're good again. Denise, if you could skip ahead a couple, go to the result. What's that? Nope, just go to the results if you would. We'll jump to it. We'll get to the meat here. As I said, we initiated the position in 2018. It took us a while to get some legs under us. In 2016 through 2019, so those 4 years, we saw significant cost shifts to the region. And then in the last 4 years, so 2020 through 2023, we've seen a cumulative cost savings of about $2.5 million to the region. Now that's not really apples to apples, because what we're comparing is the costs that were incurred over those first 4 years of DNMCs to the costs that are incurred in the most recent 4 years. And the costs of hospital stays have increased dramatically over that. So if if nothing had been done, I think it's fair to say that the costs would have even exceeded what the old costs had been. That's what most of the counties are seeing. But we've also seen a reduction in case manager stress. We've also seen significant relationship development with direct care and treatment. As Kim talked about, when the hospitals know that they get somebody from Region 5+, I've had hospitals call me before the case managers call me and say, hey, Mike, we got this person in from Crow Wing County or Todd County. Are you going to be working with them? Which is a significant benefit to have that relationship and that collaboration and planning. We can go to the next two slides. One more, please. I'll come back to that one. So I think it's beneficial to look at this one first. This is costs related to the region. This is what I talked about earlier. So the first 4 years, or the first 2016 through 2019, those are the costs that were being incurred by the region for individuals under DNMC. And then the last 4 years, we've seen a significant reduction in those costs. It's worthwhile to note, when you look at the same chart across the state, you see a drop in 2020, 2021 because of COVID, and there were different adjustments made at the state facilities, how the billing was done. There were a lot of things. So everybody kind of has a dip. But then, for one thing, in the state, that dip isn't as significant as we had in our region. The other thing is, after that, when you start looking at 2022, 23, the costs are significantly above what we're seeing in the historical 2016 through 2019 numbers. Whereas we've been able to keep our costs relatively restrained. If you go back one, please, now. Thank you. Should have planned that one better. I usually like to start small, but I think it makes more sense this way because we've got some weird graphics here. So you'll notice the far right has a blue line and the orange line. So the blue line represents the legislative allotment that was made for Todd County for the one individual. So the money that was given back to Todd County from the state. I think we needed to include that to demonstrate that. Now the previous slide, the one that had all of the counties in Region 5, we don't have 2024 numbers yet. We do for Todd County, but we didn't have them across the region. So I didn't do 2024. But you can see the difference in one county if we hadn't have gotten that allocation, the change that would have made for one county. Now, with that allocation, if you just follow the orange bars, we're doing okay. We're back, we're still below our high peak level. We're in more moderate level. Not quite where we want to be, but still making progress.
And that blue is what we were relieved of for that expense through Senator Utke when he kind of tagged us on with Beltrami County and a cost of care that was shifted to Todd County with that one individual.
So in 2023, we were at 103,194, and they forgave the top side, the blue side. We would have been, without the forgiveness, we'd been at 250 something.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, like 280, I think was the total, something like that.
Significant.
So,
Significant.
yeah, just logistically, the way that I did this, because the allocation all came in 2024, and all of the days did not come all in 2024, I split that allocation between 2023 and 2024. All of that individual stay was not reimbursed by the state. There was still a cost that was billed to the county, and then there may have been a few small other DNMC days. You know, I mean, it's pretty hard to eliminate all of them, as you can see from previous slides. And that's part of what we want to talk about. We can go to the placement success. There we go. We've been able to see significant impact. We've been able to help case managers with explaining placements to the individuals we serve. You know, it's really important to think about all those dollars that we've been talking about. They're all tied to a human being. Those are days that a person had to stay in the hospital when they maybe didn't need to. And so that's really important to think about, that, you know, even though this has a significant impact, it also has a significant impact on the people we serve too. Next slide, please. We've been able to build relationships with DHS, as we talked about, also relationships with our providers. When providers have openings, they call us and let us know. But, if you have one more slide, please. No, you're good. Part of what we want to talk about is the work is not done. Even though we've made significant efforts and Region 5 Plus has seen improvement over the first 4 years and compared to the state, we're still seeing a cost shift that has a significant impact on the region. And that's part of why we're here talking today, is to discuss that with you folks. If you have conversations with lawmakers, let them know that, you know, this can't be a one-sided effort. This isn't something that any county, any region can do by ourselves. Despite our significant efforts, we're still seeing.
So with the formation of the new department from DHS is split into three, like I said, DHS, DCYF, and DCT, which is direct care and treatment. Hospitals have the capacity to write off bad debt. We have bad debt with them. I've asked Jenna to set up a payment plan, just enough to keep us out of, what do I want to say? No, penalties, right? So let's set up a small payment plan, knowing that we are going to be faced, that many counties, 87 counties in the state are saying, you know what, they can write this bad debt off to us. It's a cost shift that's out of our control. We have no place to send individuals in this transition time. That is on the state because they're closing facilities, they're not staffing them. That's on them. I lost where I was going, but you know, something that we wanted to prepare to send to our legislative team down at the state and say, you know what, it's out of our control. And you know, it's something that in the state, when we presented this to DCT and DHS, they're like, that's a 44 million line item that we expect from counties with this cost shift that goes into the general fund. It does not go to behavioral care fund. It does not fix what is broken at the state. It goes back to the general fund, which in my opinion is not fixing what's broken. We're subsidizing them at the tune of $44 million on the backs of counties in this one area. So when meeting with Mike and our other 5 counties in the region, we're like, we need to educate. We need to educate our senators and our representatives on this one cost shift that after this, we're gonna talk about the next cost shift that our governor has potentially impactful to us. So it's significant, and it needs to be recognized that we are subsidizing the general budget at the state on the backs of counties, which increases all of our levies. This is where I get to drop the mic. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
And, you know, I think, I've said before, the changes that have been made across the region, and they're highlighted some in this slide as well. There have been significant changes in the way that our Health and Human Services departments do our business related to individuals who are at the state psychiatric hospitals. We're making significant efforts to try to have an impact on this. And the short version is we can't do it alone.
And I'm very thankful to Senator Utke for giving or tagging us in with Beltrami County for that forgiveness.
How many beds would Region 5 need?
How many?
Like, let's say, how many beds are at these facilities that Region 5 counties are actually, you know, do you have any idea?
Like how many beds are we using?
How many clients are in there that represent Region 5? We had one. Who else had? How many total were there?
Clients. How many clients did this affect in Region 5 plus? How many people?
Oh, yeah. So I serve roughly 100 people a year, somewhere around there. Not all of those are on commitment. Give me a second, I can tell you how many people I served last year that were on commitment. And if they were on commitment, they were in a state psychiatric hospital at some point.
And this is why Mike's position has been so vital to our region, because he's that conduit. Because when we have case managers that are managing full caseloads, sometimes they weren't even aware that a client was placed on a do not meet criteria list. And then they're trying to figure it out, navigate a system that's very, very complex. And, you know, it's hard to get them placed with their high, and Mike has that knowledge, that, you know, that high-level overview of really what could best meet their criteria, when at a single county or a single caseworker might not have that sky-level view.
So to answer your question about committed individuals, so last year I served 84 folks, 36 of those were on commitment at some point. Now, there are some of those folks who were in the hospital once, some were in the hospital multiple times. So that's not representative of hospital stays, and that doesn't really tell you like how many bed days there were. I don't track that. But that gives you a picture of like how many individuals there were from our region. And historically, going back to 2020, that's been about somewhere between 50 and 30 folks that I've served every year that are committed and therefore most likely in some type of hospital. Every now and then I'll get an individual that's committed and doesn't go to a hospital, but it's pretty rare.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I can, the Brainerd State Hospital used to be the
Yeah.
state hospital. How much of that is still there, available, and how much of it have they taken down? Because I know building-wise, it's much smaller.
Most of it's been taken down. My understanding is at this point, as far as hospital sites, so there's the MSHS, the Minnesota Specialty Health System. They have a very specialized treatment program that's run out of one of the buildings. That's a 16-bed facility. It's focused on treatment for individuals who no longer have to be in the hospital, but still need a residential treatment, and individuals who have a brain injury of some sort. So it's a very specific population that they serve at that site. And then they also, I believe, still operate a substance use disorder treatment facility over at that site, Four Winds site. Otherwise, I think there's some buildings that provide like training and a few other like state meeting places, but I don't think there's any other treatment that happens over there. The detox closed quite a while ago. I don't think there's anything else treatment-wise.
Thank you.
This is pretty much just one portion of our presentation that we're gonna go on to
Yeah.
next, so. Good discussion. If you have any questions, please let us know, but we're gonna do our best to try and quantify this as best we can. As, again, it's another cost shift that's unnecessary, we believe.
Thank you.
So, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jackie.
So we have
sit on the
just a
side
sheet
board.
here
Yep.
with the governor's impact.
It's Todd, Wadena, Crowing, Cass is,
And Aiken, Morrison.
Morrison is. I'm trying to think of who's sitting, Wadena.
Oh, yeah, Wadena, Morrison, Cass, Crowing.
Damn it.
There's an Aiken, Todd.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I
I've
sit
got
on that.
most of my team here, I got all my team
And I
here,
think
but some of them that
Mr.
are here in front of you. As we don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but we really wanted to talk about the potential impact. Sorry, guys, that would be nice to have the new sheets, right? With the governor's budget.
Yeah.
And, you know, we did an early forecast and it was high, and then we did another forecast and it was high, and then we had a governor's, the MAXA went through and met with DHS, DCT, and DCYF, those three departments, to talk about the potential impact to counties from the governor's proposed budget. And it's complex. I believe the paper, or the, as it was broken down, was 478 pages from, I think it was DHS alone. And then they had one that was over 100 pages for DCYF and then DCT as well. So in looking at that, we've really given here in front of you, what is the impact? What are the things that we can say are possibly a direct cost allocation, cost shift back to the counties. And I'm gonna, we're gonna talk high level, but at the end of the day, you're gonna see the number of over $600,000 that is gonna be, we believe that we can really pull from our data and our systems to be impactful to Todd County. There is also, and I guess I'm gonna let John do that, but maybe, as we go through this line item, we also have a new law that was put into place in 2024. That's the African American Family Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionality Act that is in our child protection system that is gonna be impactful with the work that we do for child protection. So it's gonna require a lot more hands-on and a lot more staff time in working with these children, not only African American, but those kids that are disproportionately affected. So those in poverty would be considered disproportionately accounted for in this new act. So there is some significant shifts that, and as our legislature is meeting now, and there's a lot of testifying and decisions, and we all know how the Senate and the House have been working together or not working together, and how that's gonna impact us at the end of the day could be significant. It could change. Either our governor was well-informed on the impacts to the county, or he was ill-informed. We think he was well-informed. We are seeing that some of the proposed changes was very directed towards some of the representatives that were down there and on some of the committees that make these decisions. So it could be a form of posturing. We don't know, but this is what could be impactful for us here locally with the decisions that he has made and the budget that he has proposed. We could go through it line item by line item, but it really is, it's probably, I don't want to say it's really in the weeds. These are the numbers that we have come up with. Anybody want to add anything? As we sat down and we actually looked line item by clients and those who could be affected. We also think there's some indirect causation that could happen to us. The disability waiver rates, which is the second line item under residential services, those rates, really our estimation is a point in time. This is as we see it today. We can't predict who's gonna need to be assisted with disability waivers tomorrow. We don't know who's gonna need our help tomorrow. We would love to know and have that magic forecast, but we don't know. And those costs can vary. They can vary from, what do we say, $800 a day up to $2,000 a day.
$177, like our lowest need person that's in the or in residential services, up to $1,800 a day. So it just depends on what the person's need is. If they're aggressive or have developmental disabilities, mental health issues.
And back in the day, Kim and Jenna, I don't know how many years ago, pre my time, were able to manage that budget. The state said, no, we're gonna take it back. And we're gonna open the floodgates, which is great, because then everybody was able to receive services and put on waivers, great. But now they're scaling that back and cost shifting it back to the county now that the floodgates are open. So.
Yeah, we used to negotiate rates with all our adult foster care providers, and now we put all their information in the system and it calculates what the rate is. So we really don't have a control over what that rate is. And then they can also ask for exceptions. So then we have to send that to the state, and it's ultimately up to DHS if they decide to go for that. That's why we have some of those higher rates that have continued to increase. But we also have people that need more care as well.
So does that mean, if we have a say in, this shift is being shifted back, this cost is being shifted back to the county, do we really look at our I mean, it's gonna be hard to say, you have a greater need than maybe you do. You know, it's gonna put, I think, case managers and staff in a bad spot with lack of housing, lack of transportation, lack of staffing. I mean, we can go through all of those things that we see here locally that we don't have to serve these clients. We also talked about, you know, we're gonna see if clients are not choosing where they would be placed in these housing, they're gonna see an increase in adult protection. We're gonna see an increase in child protection. We're gonna see an increase in law enforcement calls. You know, mental health services, we don't have the capacity and we just don't have the services needed here locally if people aren't placed where they need to be with the services that they absolutely truly need. Additional FTEs, we could possibly need more staff to manage the cases.
Jackie,
Go ahead,
just
Barb.
back up. Who decides what they need for care? You guys decide, the treatment center decides, the state decides?
They all
Can you pull that microphone closer to you?
Sure can. They all go through a min-choices assessment, and they have to be eligible that way, but through that assessment, it determines what a person needs, and from that, we determine like their level of care.
Okay.
From that, so, you know, we have people in their own homes and all they receive is homemaking. But then you have those people that are most vulnerable or are most dangerous that need that higher level.
And that assessment comes from the state
No,
program?
we do those assessments here at the county.
You do it, but where does the program come from? Who makes up that program?
DHS makes all the
So
rules and it's
the
in
initial
statute.
program comes from the state?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And does that program change very often or not?
Yeah, it's been going through a lot of changes to align all the services and make sure we have what we need for our people.
Does it become more restrictive as it changes or less restrictive?
It just depends on, they've added services, but some of them, just like we talked when Mike Willie was here, that like we have our step down, so adult foster care would be like before they would be, like that's probably our highest level, but all the way down to, like our goal is to keep them in the community in their own homes, but sometimes in the community is in adult foster care with 24-hour supervision.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and Jackie's definitely right. More money being awarded in the waiver area, we did have to sit down each month and decide who needed services, and I should put in quotes, who needed the most services, and with our funding that we had, who could go on the waiver, and that was a very tough thing to do because you're kind of picking and choosing who gets what, and
Is that what's going to happen in the future, though? I mean, are we going to go back to
They
that?
haven't said that because they opened it up, so, you know, there's things like in statute that you can't have a waiting list anymore. So if people do meet all the criteria, they go on the waiver and they access those services they need. And it's very person-centered, so, you know, some of those things they have the say in and we don't because we have to give them those services.
Mr. Chair, DHS is the biggest budget within the state of Minnesota with the most entrenched bureaucrats there is. Okay, so when the governor wants to come in and start whacking, he's gonna come in on DHS and start pushing the crap down on us. And there's only so much we can handle as taxpayers because all of our tax in Todd County is based off of property. We have crap for commercial, okay? So this is gonna hit us frickin' hard, okay? So I don't know how we're gonna change it. I don't know if our representatives can change it for us or protect us. But when this crap starts coming down, it's gonna come down on us hard.
Scary.
It is.
Commissioner, I agree, you know, and a lot of this is out of our control. All of these mandates that, you know, Health and Human Services is forced to possibly increase the levy is completely out of our control, completely out of our control.
Jackie, is this amount you have listed on this sheet, is this higher or lower than what you said?
Lower. It is lower. Yeah.
Because we did an analysis, Jackie Bauer and I, so she could get data to AMC. And at the dollar amount Jackie had provided previously, we were looking at 5.32 additional to the levy. By the time when we start the levy, it'll be around 3%. When we add all of the cost, wages, and negotiations, which I know are not settled, and adding all these HHS state mandates coming down, we're gonna be looking at a 19.14% levy. That's automatic. We did the math already. So just so you're aware that these mandates coming down to this poor department are going to affect the taxpayers and the levy. It has to. There's no money. That's what we're gonna be looking at.
Right.
So we're gonna have to watch our spending and our.
And hope that the outcome at the end of the day at June 30th is better than what I'm feeling like today. Some sleepless nights and anxiety, but, and again, it's, I think we have done a really good job at managing our budget. Our budget has not increased since 2014. I think we've remained fairly flat. I mean, so when they say, I think across the state, human services is the largest part of county's budget, we've been pretty fortunate to remain flat for the last 10 years.
Exactly.
I'm not feeling that way now, guys. I'm not, but that's why we felt it was important to get this to you. But I think it's also important to get this out to, I want to get this, and I wanted to present it to you all first before I present this to Senator Wiener and, Representative Wiener and Senator Utke, as to really how impactful, because Senator Utke does sit on the Health and Human Services Committee, and he is a part of that decision-making process for Health and Human Services. I know Representative Wiener has his fingers on other things, but really directly impactful for us, it's going to be Senator Utke at this point.
And it's going through my mind, Jackie, I think of our public health meeting that we had just a week ago, whatever, and the extra costs that we're seeing within our communities coming in through our other public health needs.
And this is where I'm gonna have
assessments.
Catherine kind of come up and talk to you, so we have this human services portion that we delivered to you, right? Now we have some things that I think we need to be mindful of around public health and the services that are provided there. Catherine, come on in, just pull up a chair here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll just keep it going, huh? So as I discussed during Public Health Advisory a couple weeks ago, and this is just for your information awareness, hopefully we can be a little proactive at this point. In the last few months, we've noticed an increase in our Haitian population in Long Prairie due to Long Prairie Packing and their hiring practices. So at least 50% of their employees now are Haitian, and they seem to be exclusively hiring Haitians. They are here on a work permit under a temporary protected status. When it came to light to public health in our department was the last few weeks. Since January 1st, we have 5 Haitian women on our family home visiting caseload, and 3 of them have an infectious disease. So that is extremely concerning when you think of that percentage. And it appears, and if you don't know anything about Haiti, I mean, it's important to understand 90% live in poverty. We've seen Haitians coming here for the last about 15 years, from 2010 when there was a hurricane. As you know, they've had lots of natural disasters. They don't really have a government to speak of since last spring, and have never really had healthcare infrastructure. So typically the Haitian population is coming here to work. They were making $2 a day at home, and of course they can make a lot more coming here. With any new population that comes into our community, especially in a small community like Long Prairie that lacks the capacity sometimes to provide services, we have a significant concern about infectious disease outbreaks. This population specifically, and again, this is just identifying risk, right? This is a population that has not had access to healthcare services and does not seem to understand the need for that. The majority of the women we've seen have not accessed prenatal care till their 8th month. They have walked into the clinic when they needed that. The language barrier is extremely challenging, and we're all dealing with that now, as well as offices throughout Haitian Creole is the language, right? It's more indigenous to French and African languages, which is where Haiti was occupied by. So it's a unique population that we're seeing that has a lot of healthcare issues, and we're only seeing a small percentage at this time. As that population grows in Long Prairie, we anticipate we'll see more issues. At this point, we're working with Center Care Lakewood, Public Health Advisory, to identify ways to get to build some trust and communication with that population to ensure that they know where to access care, right? There is a walk-in clinic at Long Prairie, how to access care, so they're getting in sooner than later, right? We're also working on family planning clinics, so that was something we had done in the past, but that's been a few years now since we had a free family planning clinic where you can get reproductive health, you can get contraception. A majority of the women who are here do not want to be pregnant. Often on their journey here, they struggled with a lot of violence and sexual exploitation. So it's something that we really want to be empathetic about and understand that we're having more babies here. And as John and I have talked about, that's not always great to have babies here that weren't born under great conditions. So the majority want to work. So our moms are going back to work after 4 or 5 days. And then those children need to be, or babies need to be, taken care of by someone. So it's a concern that I think the board needs to be aware of as we talk about costs and we talk about unknown costs to our community. We've had lots of different populations come into Long Prairie and Todd County over time, and I've been here 15 years and I've seen a lot of that. This seems a little unique in the fact that our Haitians seem to really struggle with how to advocate for themselves and how to ensure that they have that access to healthcare, but also understand that taking time off work is something that could be done, whereas we're seeing a lot of foregone care where they just don't want to seek healthcare. So we've spoken with the providers as well as increasing screenings. This is typical for a new population like this, that you want to be screening for tuberculosis, for HIV/AIDS, STDs, lots of other infectious diseases, so we can hopefully just know what we don't know. And I think that's the big concern now is when we've only seen pregnant moms coming in for care, there's a whole other population of that community that isn't seeking care yet. So just as an example for costs, last year we had a tuberculosis case with HIV/AIDS, and we spent, if you didn't know public health, it's our responsibility to control the spread of infectious disease, specifically tuberculosis. We had to house this individual for a month in a hotel because he needed to be isolated effectively because he was infectious. We then had to spend 9 months doing direct observed therapy where our nurses had to monitor his medication compliance. He went through the entire 9 months. We supported lots of other things with this individual. At this point, he's cured from TB. Of course, he'll always live with HIV, but that took 9 months, 120 visits from our nurses, and about $60,000 is my estimate, none which was reimbursed by the state. So typically, these are undocumented individuals or individuals who aren't eligible for medical assistance, or we just don't get reimbursed because the state doesn't provide reimbursement for infectious disease care. So it's concerning on all of us that just like these, we've talked about with the other departments as well, it's those uncertainty and costs. So right now we're trying to be really proactive. We're working really closely with our emergency preparedness teams as well to identify ways that we can kind of stay on top of this and hopefully ensure that we're meeting the needs of the population so down the road we aren't seeing more and more struggles. So I'll take questions if there's any.
I think one of the interesting things we discussed at that meeting was how they're coming in for work, and if they're not, don't make the cut or whatever, it still falls on the county.
Yeah, we do have one mom who wasn't able to work at the packing plant, didn't pass the PT assessment, and found herself homeless, right? Picked up by an individual, and now she's pregnant, right? So it's just concerning, right, that this, as soon as you don't work at the packing plant, typically they have their employees 3 months for, they provide them of rent or some type of housing situation, and then they're on their own to find housing. And that's a huge issue too. So if they're not able to get to work, they're fired, right? If they're pregnant with restrictions, they're often not able to work. then they become, again, someone's else's problem. So that's either at our office or the sheriff's office or Long Prairie PD. So this is a population that does not know how to navigate social services, things like that, and, seems to really struggle with sort of, they want to work, and so they'll sort of hide things that maybe, a woman that we had, she was pregnant and delivered 2 hours after her work shift and went back to work 4 days later. So, it's one of those where it's admirable, they want to work, but I do worry that there could be a lot of issues that come out of that.
The other thing that was brought up too was the testing before they get here. They don't necessarily have to have, I'll let you explain
No,
that.
really, the only health screening that's required, 90 days, is if you're deemed a refugee. So we had Ukrainian refugees coming, and that's deemed before you get here. So if you're refugee health status, right, you have 90 days, and we're notified at the health department, and we need to help them get a refugee health assessment. And that's a formal assessment, screenings. They're required to get certain immunizations, get caught up, all those things. That is only for refugees. The Haitians that are coming here, that, to my knowledge, are coming as Haitian entrants, but under temporary protected status. And that is not a requirement. They are not eligible for refugee benefits the same way. So we don't know their health status. We really don't know if they've had any screenings, any vaccines. Haiti has had minimal health care because of their country being so poor. And we can't require health screenings either.
Yeah, yeah, it's been, for us, it's awareness. I just wanted to bring this in front of you early. And I'm hoping that some things changed with the proposed budget, but, we're doing a lot, everything we can in the public health and with keeping this population as healthy as we can. But that apartment building is opening up in the spring. Spring,
June or
summer,
July.
June or July, so.
And congregate living facilities and congregate work facilities are unfortunately not great places to prevent the spread of disease. So it's something we'll be working closely with. I've spoken with the packing plant, so we continue to educate them and discuss what it is that can be done to support this population.
Okay. Anybody else? Nope. Challenge is large. We'll have to work together.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the
Yep,
update.
thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd love to call for a adjournment of the work session. Is that good?
You don't need an
Sounds good,
adjournment.
Bob, thank you.
Yep,
Okay,
It's just, you just call it.
it's
ended.
adjourned
it's a.
It's just
at
ended.
10:12:35.
There's no adjournment, it's just
Just
ended.
over. It's over.
Thank you, though.
So. Wow. That facility.